Welcome to Focus, Finish, Grow with Bill Walker. Today, I am joined by Noah Arnett, a drummer, audio engineer, and producer, and he's coming from us live from Alabama. So, how you doing today, Noah?
I'm good.
Can we elaborate on that?
Head hurts a little bit, but not too bad. That seems
Uh,
to be a ongoing occurrence these days, but I think it's adjusting to how humid it is here, which you don't have that issue and I do, but
I do not have that issue because, well, you don't have 110-degree heat, and it's going to be north of 110 here all week.
we just have 100-degree heat with 100% humidity. Big difference.
Yeah, welcome to the South. All right, so before we started recording, we were talking about a Stream Deck. So, what kind of Stream Deck do you want to get?
I just want one for like all the little quick moves that I do because there's like a lot of, especially with like Ableton, I use Ableton as my DAW and you can do like everything with Ableton. So I just like to have something quick I could use. I could use a MIDI pad if I really wanted to with that program, but just like for that. And then I've started using DaVinci Resolve a lot. I just like to have my little quick keys of stuff I do a lot.
I got the mobile version of the Stream Deck.
Is that
Have
like on
you?
your phone?
No, it's on my tablet.
Ah,
So, let's see if we can actually pull this up. I don't know if I can show you. But if you get the regular Stream Deck, they've got what the little small 8 key or something, and then they go up to like I don't know, what is the biggest one? 32?
it's something crazy.
And then they've got the new one, that one with the knobs, or it's got knobs and buttons. Oh, well, this is interesting. There we go. It's thinking about it. Well, I haven't logged into EQ. I haven't logged into my Stream Deck for a while, but what's fun is I can have 64 buttons on my tablet.
Ah, now that's fancy.
Wow. I don't use this for a while, and
It
there we
just is
go.
broke.
So I've got a whole layout to where I can open and close all my software.
Man, that's nice.
And so I think it's kind of fun. And it's funny as you'd think that since I have all of this set up, that I would actually have today's show all programmed in my Stream Deck, but I don't.
It happens.
All right, we need to jump into some stuff before we lose everyone. All right, so here's the thing. Noah is one of the latest people in the Create community, and he has so graciously agreed to share his 6-month journey with us as he goes through the Create operating system the first time. And so he's in the process of learning a new language and learning things like primary quest and focus anchor date. And so what the Create operating system is, it's a framework to help independent creatives be more disciplined in their behavior, being able to choose one thing to focus on, learning how to execute and amplify. And then the most important part is being accountable. I don't know about but that's a new one for me, right? Being accountable
Yep.
to other people is hard. But when we're accountable to ourselves, we can make all kinds of excuses for not doing what we say we're going to do. Choosing your primary quest. Primary quest is the one major project you're going to work on for a certain amount of time. So have you chosen your primary quest?
Yeah.
And what is
Uh,
that?
uh, there were a lot of options. I will say that much. But I really want to go the music producing route just because that I have all those skills. I really like doing it. And there's been like a few opportunities where I've been able to lock myself in a room and just do nothing but like work on music. And I was like, that kind of answered it for me without answering it for me. And then, I happened to run into you again and I was like, you told me the whole thing and I looked at the primary quest. So I knew exactly what it was going to be.
So a primary quest needs to be more specific than that. There has to be a specific action that's going to be completed by a certain amount of time that can be anywhere from 30 to 180 days. So let's refine that.
Do you want me to read off what I wrote?
Absolutely.
All right. I think it is more, I was just being a little bit more general. let's see. And I don't like it that much either. I don't like what I wrote. So
Maybe we can
I
work
was
on it together.
that's what I was hoping for. I wrote create a sustainable job making music for myself and others.
All right. That is a great start. My guess is this is going to be an ongoing thing. And one time through the create time frame is 180 days.
Right.
And let's see, when did we start last week?
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the focus anchor date? December 31st, January 2nd.
I like December 31st. Let's
All
put
right,
December
so
31st.
December 31st. So let's write that down. Now, the whole sustainable income, that's good, but not specific enough. So we can go about this in two different ways. We can choose a dollar amount that you want to be an X number of dollars per month, only from income derived doing producing, or we can choose like the number of clients you want to serve.
I like dollar amount just because like I think my range will differ for like the client based stuff. So like I'll be able to go up more and more once I actually start going a little bit better.
All right. So today, what's an average monthly income for just music producing? Okay, forget your 95 stuff, just as a music producer. Do you have a steady income at all yet?
Doing this,
Yeah, just being a producer.
I do not have a steady income doing
All
this
right,
yet.
so we're
No.
starting at zero, right?
Big fat goose egg.
Hey, we all have to start somewhere. By the way, most of the people watching this are also probably starting from zero in their
Yeah.
creative business. And so it's okay. All right, so we're starting at zero. Where do we want to be December 31st?
I would like to be bringing in around. Do I say the big goal or do I say like, the average goal?
An average monthly goal. 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 8,000 a month, whatever.
I think about 5,000 a month would be pretty nice.
All right, so we want to go 5,000 a month. Now, this would be steady, repeatable income that happens in December and January and February and March, and right?
Yep.
All right, so we got 5K a month. I know in music that, how much sessions cost totally vary by all kinds of things, preparedness, complexity, just the number of tracks they're going to do.
Right.
What do you think an average would be that a client would spend?
That is a good question. Right now, because I think the model will start off as like they send me what they recorded and then I mix it. That's kind of where I want to start, where, I don't really have a space to help people create in. I do have like the ability to go remote. I've made it where I can kind of go wherever and record people. But I think for like mixing, it's kind of difficult because I'd like to stay not necessarily on an hourly rate, but like
A
I
project
like a
rate.
day. Yeah. I like that model better than like per song because then, then you got a bunch of revisions and stuff like that, and that kind of muddies things up a bit. So, I'd really like to stay maybe like if I'm going to mix a song, say it'll take a day or whatever, I don't know the math on it, but like 300 to 500 a day would be about where I want to stick at.
All right, so let's talk about that. So the reason I'm asking is the first step of create is choose. So we've chosen. Your
Right.
goal is to be making 5,000 a month by December 31st as a audio engineer producer,
Mm-hmm.
right? All right. Now, to get to that 5K a month, we need to know how many clients a month that takes. And to be able to know that, we have to know, okay, how much is each client going to spend? So if you're telling me that each session, and you're going to do this as a day rate, correct?
Yes.
All right. So for $300 to $500, you're going to get, or sorry, the client's going to get one full day of your time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, you see at 500 a day, that means you only have to be booked for 10 days in a month.
Right.
For 300, I know we're going to get some funky decimal. So 300 is 16.67, so 17 days. All right, so now you need to be able to be reliably booking 10 to 17 days a month to hit your goal.
Yeah.
Now, in your $300 to $500 a day plan, what would make you choose $300 and what would make you choose $500, or will it vary depending on the project? Or
I think it varies depending on the project, depending on how involved they'd like me to be. Like, and it kind of just depends. Yeah, just like if I'm gonna be like physically there recording and stuff, um, I'd like to be there. And I know the rate in Lexington, in Kentucky, where I previously was, like the engineer that we recorded with, he was like, the big thing he kind of preaches, like, you have to be the same rate across the board because everybody's doing the same work to a degree. So, and I don't want to undercut that. So I think it just depends on like what I'm doing for the project. Like, am I doing everything? Well, then I kind of need to be, um, compensated for more. Like, am I the recording engineer and am I the like main producer and all that type of stuff? But if I'm just mixing it, that's less involved and there's less work I have to do, probably more work I have to do with the mixing, just getting everything balanced and stuff like that. And it's not my files, but that would be a less type of things where I'm less involved with it. So just, I think my involvement depends on the rate.
no, but don't you think that regardless of the amount of complexity involved, the time is the time?
True.
Now, if you're going to record and mix, you're not going to be able to, that's going to take much longer to do than just
Yeah.
mixing. So, on just mixing, if I book you for the day, I might be able to, or you might be able to mix 2 songs. But if we're going to record, I mean, to record, I mean, that may take an entire week
Yeah.
or longer.
You never know with recording.
No,
And
because you don't know how prepared the band's going to be.
and I've been in those situations as the artist. I definitely we went to one place. It's called Sneak Attack in Lexington. He's great. Um, he being Jason, but like the rule always was if you went there, it was like if you went there for the day, it was one song per day. So if you were gonna record it, you would likely have a mix walking out the door. And then the most previous time we went, I knew I was going to be doing the mixing part of it. And so it was recorded there. And then we had 2 songs that we did. So walking out, we had 2 songs. And then he didn't have to really spend that much time on mixing. Or he didn't have to spend any time on mixing, really, just making it where we knew what we were getting and stuff like that. So we were able to do more because of that. And I like that freedom. But the day rate system I definitely think is what I want to do because that's kind of what I'm used to as an artist, and it works. And it's not like it doesn't really hurt your feelings going out of it, because if you screwed up and you got to go in there another day, it's kind of your fault because you didn't prepare enough. So, and your fault being the artist, not, hopefully it's not my fault.
Well, you never know. Well, so
Yeah,
for reverse engineer, should we just take an average of a $400 a day rate?
that works.
So 400 a day to get 5,000 a month, you need 12 and a half days booked. So now, and I got an eyelash in my eye. So we need 12 and a half days booked in December. So let's reverse engineer this. If we want to have milestones every 6 months, at the end of the 6 months, so the end of December, you'd want to be at, 12 or 13 clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd actually need 13 to hit the entire $5,000. So where would we need to be in November, do you think?
Like I'd kind of like to be there in November to a degree.
But then that's the thing. Then your focus anchor date would be November 30th, not December.
Okay, I get what you mean. So I guess if that's the case, then in November I'd like to be hitting around. You said what was the number you said?
So you need 13 in December. So it'd
13
kind of be like
December.
11 in November.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then if you kind of like backward map it 2 extra a month, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, this is never going to grow linearly. So let's go 7, 3, 2, 1. So in July, you need 1. August, you can need 2. September, 3. October, say 7. Maybe 10 in November. Maybe 13 in December, and then you could hit your goal. Now, obviously, this is your quest, not mine. So you can
Right.
alter these numbers. But as of today, we're starting at 0. And I know on what you told me ahead of time that you're going to have a couple of busy weeks in July.
Very.
So do you think it's feasible for you to get 1 client by July 31st?
I already have one booked, so I do have that going for me.
All right. Is that 1 day or 2 days?
That we haven't figured out, but like I've got somebody coming in that we're going to do some work with. So and it's a group, but there I've got that, and then I'll be working pretty extensively 9 to 5. And then once I am done with that work, and it'll be music all day long, I'll go home and kind of work on some mixing projects. I've got a project that I'm working on with somebody being my guitarist in my band. But yeah, so I've got somebody booked, and I'll have the like weekends to work on stuff. So
And this booking is paid.
Not yet.
Okay, so it doesn't count.
It does not count.
No. So then your goal for July is to try to find 1. Just
Correct.
1 paid client. So what do you think? Doable?
I think you can be done.
How are you feeling so far? Feeling any more clear?
I feel more clear, a little bit overwhelmed because it's like it's a lot to do, but
It is a lot to do. You know, one of the things that we want to do is we want things to go fast. You know, there's a philosophy by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy that says 10x is easier than 2x. And so the way to go from 1x to 2x, the way most people think about it, so if you're making $100 and you want to make $200, is you just work twice as hard and you get twice as exhausted. But to get 10x thinking requires pretty much a fundamental shift in your actions and your belief system and everything. Now, starting at 0, if you want to look at 2x or 10x, well, 2 times 0 is 0 and 10 times 0 is 0, so it's still 0. But we're going to assume you're going to get to 1, and then we're going to 10x the 1 instead of just doubling the 1. And so, yeah, it can be a little overwhelming. But hopefully what it can do is it can help you think differently, expand what you think you can do. You know, January 1st is coming regardless of what we think about it. What did we do third quarter? What did we do fourth quarter? And how does that set us up for 2027? Let's say that you do get to December, and instead of getting $5,000, you only made $4,600. How are you going to feel?
I think I will be, in my circumstance, I'll be just fine. Like this goal is a little bit lofty on purpose, and I think it's achievable, but like I wouldn't say close enough, but I don't know. There's different ways to think about it. I'd like to be 56 instead of just 46. But I don't think it'll be like, well, I failed. I'm selling all my music gear and I'm just going to go do something else. I don't think it'll be that type of situation. I think it'll definitely be like, evaluate what I'm doing and make it where, I can achieve that goal the next 6-month gap or whatever.
All right, so you said something really important. You'd rather be 5,600 instead of 4,600, and I agree. However, if we don't set this as a goal, let's say you're not making a conscious effort on this, where do you think you'd really get to by the end of the year?
I'd probably get like a few people, like a few clients, and then do work for them for free and then just be in the same spot, because that's kind of what has happened previously. So I've wanted to do this for a while. I just haven't had, like, I wouldn't say the wherewithal, just like the I guess the system to get it done. I think that's the hard part about being a musician. Is you spend so much time like working on your craft that you don't work on your business. And that's
Oh
really
yeah.
where I think it lies.
Yeah, and here's the thing about being a musician. If we had our way, we'd probably spend 80 to 90% of our time working on the music
Yeah.
and only 10 to 20% of the time, if that, working on the business side of things.
Yep.
Unfortunately, though, once you've created your first set of music, it really needs to flip until you have enough money to pay people. You need to spend 80% of your time on the business, because it doesn't matter how good your CD is. If nobody knows it exists, how can anybody listen to it?
Yeah.
And so, and I'm coming from a perspective of experience in this. I'm a, I'd rather create all day than have to market,
Same.
or track, or do any of these amplification efforts that are required to get out there. Now, if I run another podcast with a friend of mine, it's called Spaghetti to Strategy. And in that, I have repented of my wrongdoing of avoiding amplification. And Noah, from now on, you need to repent of your wrongdoing of execution and amplification so that we can take this, right? My goal is to help people, independent creatives or creative entrepreneurs, to develop profitable and sustainable creative businesses, right? So you get paid for doing what you love to do. Because my guess is that you would, assuming you had an unlimited supply of money, you would probably spend your day creating,
Yep.
and then spend part of your day performing it and sharing it with people. My guess is that no part of the day would be really used to try to get people to show up to the show, right? Just magically they're going to show up. So all you have to do is write and practice. And then you get to perform, and all the people are just there. Sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know that's how I am. I just want people to show up. The Create operating system has 6 steps. We got choose, which you've chosen. We've talked about reverse engineering. What's next? What's the first E stand for? Execute.
Execute. I knew that.
And then amplify. And then track and evolve. So let's talk about execute for a minute. So when we're talking about executing, we do that with 3 blocks of time. Do you remember reading about those? The 3 different blocks of time? Do you remember what they are?
The 3 block, is it? No, it's not the feasibility thing, right?
No, that's just what we use to help choose.
I got you.
The 3 block system are creative blocks, amplification blocks, and operation blocks. So the creative block is the going into creating whatever it is that you're doing. In this case, we're talking about recording, engineering, mastering, mixing, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is you know how to do that.
Yes.
Okay. In creating now, you've got to be creating content so that we can amplify. Because if nobody knows you're available for hire, come December 31st, you've got an exact booking schedule of 0.
Yep.
You need to spend a good portion of your time amplifying. And then operations, that's like the potential boring stuff. It's all the business stuff, right? The billing and collecting money and working, modifying your website and making sure you are tracking your expenses, and you've got your receipts, and you can be ready for your taxes and all this stuff, which by far is the least fun of being a creative.
Yep.
However, we lean into the operations under the false idea that it's helping us get to our goal. So we'll come back to that. All right, so E is execute. A is amplify. So we've talked about that a little bit. The T stands for track. You need to track what you do. And then E is evolve. So you need to take what you've tracked and learn from it and then modify based on what you learned. Last week on my Focus, Finish, Grow episode, I talked about setting a Q3 revenue goal. In Spaghetti to Strategy, Greg wanted to throw revenue aside to get to the only thing that we can control, and that's action.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really control whether or not somebody hires you directly. But what you can do is you're 100% in control of your actions. Like, what did you do today? And in that episode, he gave a challenge to come up with one prospecting idea that you can do every day for the month of July. Now, we're July 6th, so we're a few days into it. But what do you think would be one proactive prospecting thing that you could do for the rest of the month that'll help you get your goal?
I really think that like diving into social media is a good avenue because it unlocks a crazy amount. It makes my audience from like the little music scene that I'm in to like anybody anywhere.
And I agree. Social media does allow you to get out there. Now, here's a question. If you just post, hey, I'm a producer, contact me and we'll go to get together and talk to see if I can help you. Is that really a proactive prospecting action?
I can say from personal experience that is more of a waste of time than anything. Just making one post.
So what do you think would qualify as a direct prospecting action?
Just consistency on like getting on social media and like getting out there.
Okay. I still think that can help. But are you part of any groups where the musicians hang out? Any Facebook
Yes.
groups?
Any Facebook groups? Not yet necessarily.
Do you have an email list?
I don't have that either.
All right. So these are all things that we can work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first, we're going to start working on a consistent presence on social media. And maybe we do that for July. And then in August or September, after you've gained some experience of doing things, you could actually reach out to people. You could find these musician groups and then reply to one of their posts where they're asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
How do I mix this? And so you help them. And eventually you can, just go, I've noticed you've been struggling a lot with mixing. Are you working on a project? And anyways, you could end up in a conversation with them to offer your services.
Mm-hmm.
You could send out a direct email to someone just going, hey, here I am. I noticed you're doing this. I do this professionally and, make an offer. I can come out and, record your band, or, I could probably save you 2 weeks of mixing time by just hiring me to do this for you. And, it's really hard because you're getting out there, you're getting in front of people. People are going to say no. But if we really get focused on the action, and if you did this every day, what do you think would happen in a month?
You would have a list of, you have a list of clients that, go to you for help.
And just think about what would happen at the end of 2 months,
Exactly.
or at the end of 3 months. There's a teaching in real estate that probably 99.9% of the agents don't do, even after it's suggested to them. And then it's, if you're brand new and you go knock 100 doors a day. So you're out there physically knocking on 100 doors a day. That by the end of 6 months, you don't need to knock doors anymore
Right.
because you'll have generated enough people giving you referrals or actually maybe doing business with you that you'll be able to have a steady stream of business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the number of people that go put that to the test, I'd be surprised if it's more than 1 or 2 in 1,000
That's funny.
because it's not sexy.
No, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, people come knocking my door all the time. I'm like, how many pest control people do you really think I need? And so I say no. However, some people in my neighborhood say yes because they actually need it and they need it right now. And these people can go out and build a business by actually being really disciplined and getting out and meeting people. We have the benefit of being able to do this virtually, so we don't have to go out in 100-degree heat and 100% humidity.
Yep.
And we're not limited to our immediate geography. We have a planet full of potential people that we can help.
Mm-hmm.
While there may be a lot of noise, this is also probably the best time in history to start this kind of business. Because Lexington or Birmingham, are those cities big enough to really support you the way you want to be supported?
Not really. Over time, no, because I mean, eventually, I think it would be like harder just to start if I was just like in one geographical place. And I know like from the people in Lexington, like not all their client base is in Lexington. Like if it's a business that is still going, it's not just Lexington. Like they've got people flying in and like, yeah, it's so much harder because like instead of I feel like doing it this way, instead of it taking 10 years, it should take like 2 or 3 to be at a sustainable level, really.
I have a friend in California who owns a studio, and he's been doing this since the dawn of time, like since the Detroit era. You know, yeah, he was in bands in the 70s and really started switching to being the producer, audio engineer in the 80s. Used to have major label contracts. And for the last 20 years or so has just been completely independent. And he's got people flying in all the time to his house. He, you know, when I still lived in California, he was telling me about a project he did with a band from Spain. And so they sent him the tracks and he did all the mixing in California and then sent back final product back to Spain. And so you, with the internet, you are really free from geography. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. You don't have to, physically carry a tape across the globe and throw it in a tape machine anymore.
So do you agree that doing this is pretty hard, getting started?
It is because there's so much to do and there's so many places to start, and it's just really figuring out A, what to do, but B, just like having, I guess, the courage necessary just to screw up and to do it wrong so you can figure out what the right way to do it is. That's the hard part, really.
No, but that's excellent. Be willing to screw up and make mistakes and get through the hard. And that's why a primary quest with a focus anchor date is so important. It helps get us through that messy, hard middle.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you're all pumped up with, endorphins inside of you going, I got this. And then you wake up on Monday and it's hard. So what keeps you motivated?
There's a few things. One of them, I really like new gear. And so like to be able to like, oh, I've got nice stuff, but like there's a few microphones and like preamps that I want. So like that's a motivating factor. I'm not gonna lie. But also just like
I'm right with you.
I think any musician, it's like, this is kind of what I want to do. But like the other thing is like I've worked in a job I don't really enjoy for so long, and it's kind of sustained me, and I've been able to, get a lot of the cool stuff I'd like, but like at the same time, like I need something more sustainable and able to push me further so I can, because I just want to be like worry free to a degree with when it comes to money. Like, and at the same time, like I don't want to be, I can be I can be have financial freedom doing something I hate. And I'm a person like, if I don't like it, I can't pay attention to it. I'm squirreling all over the place. And like, I've wanted to do this for so long that it's at the point now where it's like, there's not much that can stop me. Like, because I feel that motivation. And I'm sure like in a month it might be like, well, I'm struggling. But like right now, like there's a bunch of things drive me, and really just like looking at it all and then like thinking about this could be a real thing. That's so exciting that like it keeps me going.
Well, and that's one of the things you're going to get in the create community is that accountability to
Mhm.
help you when it gets hard, because it's going to get hard. So now let's go back to something positive. How do you measure success?
That is a good question. Um, for me, there's a few ways. Uh, I think there's the shiny part of my brain. We'll go back to that. Like, am I getting new shiny things? But like, I think just like how how you sleep at night, I think is a big thing. And like, am I like happy with what I'm doing? How do I feel? There's that aspect of it that I think is important because I mean, music is supposed to be emotional and you're supposed to feel the emotions with it. So, and I think with the business stuff of it, like, I I'm a big fan of like Kobe Bryant, even though I don't know much about basketball. I like Kobe Bryant just because of how hard he worked, and like he might have loved shooting 5,000 free throws. He might not have loved it. There's probably some days when he didn't. I like doing all the stuff that comes with it. So, if I'm still motivated to do all those things, I think that's a way to measure success. But also, like, there's the money side of it. Like, am I getting better? Am I, you know, able to work more? Am I getting people that are excited to work with me? Like, how are my skills, not just like on the creative side, but like the business side? Am I able to evaluate these things? Um, I think just like that, and also just like taking good data and being able to now analyze it and take it to where it needs to go, I think is also a good part of success. There's a bunch. I could go for a while about what is success for me personally, but I think that's kind of the key frame of it.
Um, I want to cover two things that you were talking about. The first one is tracking your data. Beginning now, I want you to track your data. What did you do? How much time did you spend doing creative activities? How much time did you spend on amplification? How much time did you spend on operations? How much, you know, proactive amplifying have you done? And then what are the results? You know,
Hmm.
are we getting clients? Are we at least getting leads? Have we started building the email list? And then Kobe Bryant was a good example. One of the hardest working basketball players ever. First one at the gym, last one to leave. Now, whether or not he liked shooting all those free throws, we'll never know. But what we do know is that he had the discipline to do it.
Hmm.
So motivation isn't always a part of us. There are genuinely hard days, and on those hard days where motivation is failing, we need to be disciplined to continue to act regardless of how we're feeling. And for a creative, oh my goodness, that is hard because everything we do comes from inside. It's a part of us, and so when we're having a crappy day, it's really hard to get into the gym and take those shots.
Yeah.
But those are probably the days when it's the most important for us to get in there and take those shots. Here's the deal. Well, not here's the deal, but we didn't get a chance to talk much about your band today. So if you don't mind, we'll postpone that until another conversation.
That works.
But do you agree to do this on a regular basis and go through this journey between now and December 31st?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on this morning. And I hope for all you people that stayed with us and are watching this, keep coming back as we go through Noah's journey. It is hard to do what he's wanting to do. It's hard for all creatives. But you know what? We can do it. We have all the technology available to us to be successful. And as a fellow musician, I love the shiny objects. And in this case, we're not talking shiny object interference about changing directions. We're talking about new audio interfaces, new mics, new speakers, new keyboards and drums and guitars. We love gear. It's just fun. It's just part of being a musician.
Yep.
And while it may keep us broke from time to time from wanting new gear, for those of you that are in other types of creative businesses, hopefully you can get as excited about your tools as musicians get about theirs. For those of you out there watching on YouTube, if you could do me a favor, if this has been of any benefit or value to you, like and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms, leave a review. I would love to reach as many creative entrepreneurs as possible. And if you're a creative that's just beginning your journey and you want to go on this and have me help you, send me a message and I'd love to have you on the show. So Noah, thanks for being with us.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next episode.